because once they're out, it's too late. And that's a lot of the kids we work with. In general, we try to give them as much information now, because when they're gone from here, we don't even know if we'll see them again. And unfortunately, a lot of kids that we see are in situations where they need this information desperately. But it's so powerful for them to have that information, where if even one kid says, I remember the new Colossus, I remember them talking about telling somebody or getting a hold of somebody, then it's made all the difference in the world if you can even help a few kids out there to have that information and know who to go to in these situations. So it's really important that they have it right now.
Especially with the females that are here, not necessarily very deep conversations, but a lot of questions. Kind of asking, especially details about their relationships with older men after getting the information from you guys about stuff like that. I think it's more of like a realization than a conversation so far from what I've seen, just that they are realizing that it's happening, it's real life, it's local, it's not just what they've seen in TV. And
definitely sparks awareness after you guys come that they are in touch with what's going on and that they've probably seen it happen at some point. So yeah, it absolutely gets conversation generated.
A lot of the juveniles here have been through some sort of trauma, and I think after hearing all the information that New Colossus has brought to them, they are kind of realizing that, oh, I do know somebody, or that is me. I see a lot of light bulbs go on when you guys are presenting information to them, because I don't think they necessarily realized what was happening is human trafficking. I think they see those kinds of things happening, but don't necessarily know the severity behind it, and that they are in a dangerous situation if they have been there.
Most of these kids are very vulnerable. They've probably been in situations where this has either happened to them or happened to somebody they know. So for them to have this information, I think it helps connect the dots. Sometimes they don't realize what they've seen or what's been happening, and now they can kind of put it together. And like I said earlier, the light bulb kind of goes off that, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. So it's very important that they have this information.
I was surprised by the statistics comparing males and females. I noticed the stereotype that human trafficking usually just involves females, and I definitely believed that stereotype, but the statistics you guys brought about the male side of it, I think, was surprising for me, and I think for the kids too.
And just how prevalent it is. I think it's one of those things where you always kind of believe, oh, we're in Sioux Falls and we're this nice little community and we're in the middle of the Midwest and so we're fine here, and all of a sudden you realize, no, these things are happening right here and even in probably smaller towns. And it's something that needs to be addressed. We can't just pretend it's happening other places. And so I think that's the thing I really took away from it, is that we really need to be aware of what's going on in our community and in touch with what's happening. So.
Well, it's definitely not a fun conversation or an easy conversation. From the male perspective, I am actually surprised and kind of proud of their involvement. When New Colossus comes to present stuff, a lot of times the males are the ones answering questions or kind of speaking up in the group, and that surprised me, especially when there's females there as well. It's not easy to raise your hand and talk about human trafficking, and a lot of the boys have kind of stepped forward and have been willing to open up and talk about it. They have kind of been around it, I think. From the groups that I've sat in, they raise their hand and, oh, that sounds like this person or this person, and they're not afraid to open up and share that, which I think is awesome, especially from the male side.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought a lot of them would be very squeamish and kind of silly about it, but it seems like once they sat down and they heard the information, same thing. I think they realized they've been in situations where it's not just this is happening to girls and it's a girl issue, that it does happen to males, and that it's something that we need to be aware of, and it's probably something that they've seen happen right in front of them, maybe not realized it to their friends. So.
I think they've been around it or seen it or been involved in it, all of the above, but they've never been talked to directly, given the information, talked about how serious it is, and that it's happening, like you guys have always said, right in Sioux Falls. Comparing the media to how they portray human trafficking and what's actually happening just with a simple relationship. I think With this generation of youth and how much they use social media, it's very important. I think it's great that you guys bring up that side of it too, that a lot of it happens through social media, because I think that's where they can be targeted the most. Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely brings that awareness part. Whether it's going to make a change right away for them, I'm not sure, but I think having the knowledge and the information that has been passed along brings that awareness to them. So now they know more about it. If they do come across that kind of situation, maybe that red flag will trigger, and they'll remember stuff that you guys have passed along.
It definitely makes them, I think, more self-aware of what's going on in the world and choosing their words more carefully. Unfortunately, a lot of things that they see in the media probably don't portray females like we might appreciate, and so I think for them to see that aspect and see how it really does affect people in real life, not just in a video or in a movie, is very powerful for them. I think it's an important message they need to have. It's just generated so much positive culture around here, I think, especially for our females that have come in, and how many times they've asked, can I talk to the gals from New Colossus? They might not remember names, things like that, but they know your faces and they know what you're here for, and we've had girls reach out to you, and hopefully that's, helped them get through situations where, like I said, they're probably in really dangerous, scary situations, and hopefully they're spreading that information to other kids that, hey, I know what to do about this now, and that's amazing. So I think you guys are